Well, welcome to the Botanical Medicine Study course with me, Stephanie Georgieff, your host and instructor for all things botanical medicine. At the time of the posting of this video, we are well into winter as well as the month of February. There are many health initiatives during the month of February, which I usually feel is the pun intended heart of winter when all festivities die down and the nitty-gritty of the season starts to get to people. Dry January is making its way to February, where all bets are off, so to speak. But there is one plant that, while it does give us some of the world's most delicious libations, actually is quite healing if used in its entirety. So for this week's Herb of the Week, we will be exploring the fruit that was once considered the food of the gods, grapes. But not only the delicious fruits of the grape, but also the seeds and the leaves of this delicious plant have quite the history and science to back up their use for various health issues. Now, most domesticated grapes come from cultivars of the Vitis vinifera, and this is a grapevine native to the Mediterranean and Central Asia locations. Vitis vinifera, the common grapevine, is a species of flowering plant and it just grows everywhere. There's interesting maps of where the grapes grow all over the world. It's pretty much everywhere. It goes to southern Germany, it's in Morocco, all over North America, South America, and each one of these places actually had indigenous forms, but the cultivars were definitely brought with the Spaniards when they went different places. Now, as of 2012, there are between anywhere, which I think this is a huge, huge range. But anyways, according to statistics, there is anywhere between 5,000 and 10,000 varieties of Vitis vinifera. But only a few are of commercial significance for wine and table grape production. Now, back in the happy days of the first Black American president, I used to host a commercial radio program in the Inland Empire of Southern California. There was at that time some great congressional challenges, a little bit of violence going towards these people. And whenever something happened in broader culture, what I tried to do with my little radio program that was all about artisan, organic, biodynamic food was I tried to use my program to highlight some of the positive aspects of parties involved in current events. And in this terrible congressional problem at the time, I found out that there was a congressional wine caucus. I'm like, wow. So I interviewed the congressional representative that started this, and guess, of course, where he's from. Napa, California, part of wine country, at least the tourist idea of wine country uh, in California. Now, Democrat Mike Thompson, who himself was a vintner, and he is just really a delightful person. And I found out from him, Representative Mike Thompson, who is still in office, that wine is produced in every state of the United States of America, and that there's some form of indigenous or cultivated grapes in every state of the union, including Alaska, which I thought was really interesting. And he headed up this wine caucus with a Republican co-chair at the time. Now, I'm not sure of the current status of this caucus, which got congressional members together for wine tastings and to raise money for charity, to feature and promote United States wines. But hey, for one shining moment, the Republicans were actually interested in cooperation over wine, at least. Now, there are um, quite a few cultivars of Vitis vinifera, and there are botanical similarities in all members of this family. It's called a liana, which is a botanical term for a long-stemmed woody vine that's rooted in the soil at ground level and uses trees as well as other means of vertical support, basically meaning it climbs. And if you've ever lived around a vineyard or you have any grapes growing near your home, it's really kind of fun to watch how these plants grow. It's actually almost mind-boggling. Sometimes, if you're patient, you can actually watch these little tendrils wrap themselves around things. It's amazing. And basically, they do this in search of direct sunlight. Grapes like direct sunlight. And this is why the vineyards are the way they are. And if you are lucky and live in a grape growing district, or you have the ability to have trellises in yards, these can provide great shade during the summer. And what's interesting is grapes can grow up to 40 feet tall. That's really amazing. And obviously, this tall would be a bit dicey in terms of harvesting in large quantities. So the vines are usually trained to grow at lower levels. The plant has a flaky bark. Its leaves, which are very famous and pasted all over Vatican naked statues, are alternate palmately lobed. That's basically the name for these three lobes. Um, and they have coarsely prickly toothed margins, and they're glossy dark green on top and light green below. And usually the leaves are hairless. Now, these leaves also change color in the autumn. And if you want to grow these, or you know anybody that does, and you want to have your own grape leaves, you need to pick them like like late spring, early summer, because they'll get a little too chewy after that. And you need to blanch and brine these things. You can't just steam the raw grape leaves. You'll have very chewy grape leaves. But yeah, so the grapes are the type of fruit from this plant. Technically, they're considered fruit, and they grow in clusters of 15 to 300 and can be all sorts of different types of color, uh, which is interesting. Specifically, the botany world doesn't use the word purple, which I think is very fascinating. But, anyways, technically, they can be crimson, black, dark blue, yellow, green, orange, and pink. And I think they're also, some of them are purple. Now, according to the Food and Agricultural Organization, that we're still a member of in the United States, of the United Nations, almost 76,000 square kilometers of the world are dedicated to grapes. And 71% of grape production is used for wine, 27 as fresh fruit, and 2% as dried fruit. And I can tell you in the state of California, we have quite a few acres dedicated to all of this. Now, a portion of grape production goes to producing grape juice, which is often reconstituted for fruits. A lot of times, quote unquote, natural fruit juices that are sweetened naturally. They're sweetened with grape juice or like a grape molasses. And what's also interesting and a big fight, I can tell you, in California because of water and land use, more and more agricultural land is being converted to vineyards for wine. So, but I think right now we all need more wine. So, anyways, so the medicinal properties of grapes. Now, they're delicious to eat. And obviously, the juice, the fermented juice, was the libation of Dionysius. But the whole fruit, skin, leaves, and seeds of grapes are used as medicine and have been as long as humans have been growing grapes. And what's so funny is to me, it harkens back to that old grape nut commercial that was more about pine nuts. But, anyways, grape nuts, which are basically the seeds, that all parts of the plant are edible and they are all actually healthy. Now, a lot of us grew up or prefer seedless grapes. These are cultivars, and you can get all sorts of health benefits. But the seeds of grapes are like these little powerhouse of nutritional and medicinal benefits. And so sometimes it's a little jarring to bite into a grape and have to crunch through the seed, but actually it's really good for you. Now, grapes can obviously, they're border between nutrition and medicine. And I think that's the best way to take medicine. But the grapes contain flavonoids, which have antioxidant effects. And anything antioxidant is fabulous for your health, for healing, for preventing disease, et cetera, et cetera. And grapes, because of these flavonoids, help prevent heart disease. They help lower cholesterol. They lower blood pressure. They help even out blood sugar. The constituents in there, which are lutein and zeaxanthin, which you can spend lots of money on supplements, but you could just eat grapes. And eating grapes is a better idea than excessive wine consumption. The grapes are also high in copper, vitamin K, which helps blood clotting and healing, vitamin B1, vitamin B2, vitamin B6, potassium, which is very important for muscle contraction, vitamin C, manganese, and vitamin E. So all of these constituents move together, benefits eyesight, improves your memory. It's also powerful in terms of anti-inflammatory. And there's really interesting studies that grapes improve circulation. So if you're a person that has to sit a lot, and you start getting swollen legs and things like that, grapes are a good thing to eat along with getting up and walking around every 20 minutes. So, there's just no lack of marvelous effects of grapes. Now, grape leaves are also used medicinally because they have lots of bioactive compounds. And we notice that grape leaves are is basically a major part of the diets of several Mediterranean countries. And we can all list those. And the big focus is the Mediterranean diet and the fact that these people just have really good health levels in terms of their blood, the health of their hearts, et cetera, et cetera. And it's mainly because grapes and grape leaves are a big part of this diet. Now, some of the most positive memories I have of my Baba is how she used to help me and taught me how to make stuffed grape leaves, and she called them sarmi. Every Balkan nation, I can tell you, has an iteration of some sort of stuffed grape leaves. Domaldes is what the Greeks call them, and the Albanians call them yaprak. And the Albanians cook them with unripe baby plums, which they sell in the early and late spring. And I thought I was buying grapes, but no, they were baby plums that are super sour. But they cook their grape leaves on a bed of these, and it gives them a really nice sour bite. But I'm digressing. So all of the constituents found in the fruit of grapes, the leaves carry them as well, in addition to chlorophyll, which is really healthy for you. Grapevine leaf extracts have all those antioxidants. Um, so you have anti-inflammatory and all the wonderful properties of antioxidants, and specific studies show that these protect liver and kidneys from oxidative damage, helps lower blood pressure. It's also really good to stop bleeding, especially if you eat, just eating them is really good for stopping internal bleeding of any time. Anti-inflammatory, which means it reduces pain. And there are also really interesting studies that say that grape leaves help protect the brain. Now, those seeds that are very annoying sometimes, if you don't like eating them, picking them out of grapes can be very tedious, but they're really, really good for you. And mostly the study is from grapeseed extract. Now, you can get grapeseed extract as well as grapeseed oil, and both are really, really good for you. And again, a lot of it's interesting with seeds. Seeds are like these hyper concentrated plant sources of healing constituents and nutrition. So, again, very, very high in antioxidants. We know that from many studies that grapeseed extract lowers blood pressure. It also prevents blood clots. And, back several, I don't know when this one was, I think it was in the 90s. It was called the French paradox, that the French were eating all those pastries and cream and butter, but they weren't having heart attacks like Americans. And they were like, oh, but they're drinking wine. And then it's like, oh, there are all these constituents. And then drinking wine is good for you. Yes, it is within limits, but you can get all of that benefit from the seeds. So it prevents blood clots. Again, it improves blood flow. It's anti-inflammatory. We also notice that grapeseed extract is antimicrobial, and it's also a vulnerary. And it's not that you slap this on your skin, but if you take it internally, it helps heal wounds, and it also prevents infection. Now, the big constituent that does all of this, it's actually a collection, but it's called proanthocyanins, cyanidins. And this is the magic substance that does all those neat things. Grapes contain what we call phytochemicals. Obviously, they have sugars, which ferment into alcohol, has tannins, anthocyanins, but the most effective constituents are the proanthocyanins. And these give the beautiful color to grapes of different colors, especially the darker ones, red, blue, or purple colors. Um, they're considered plant pigments, but these are the pigments that are in other constituents as well that do all those marvelous things that we were just talking about. Now, how do you take grapes? Well, I am a big proponent of taking the whole plant. So, eating grapes, incorporating grape leaves into your diet, wonderful option. You can also eat some raisins. And raisins are high in calories, but the concentrated aspect, they tend to have a lot of iron in them. But you can also take grapeseed extract. You can incorporate grapeseed oil. There's all kinds of things. And there's no real danger in any of this. So, definitely discuss this with your healthcare provider to get your proper dosages. But adding grapes and grapeseed oil to your diet is a wonderful way to get these benefits. Now, cooking with grapes, there just is no lack of marvelous things that you can do with grapes and grapeseed and grape leaves. Mainly the grape seeds is through the oil. So it's a very nice light oil. So you can use that to saute things. I'm not sure it's a good idea to deep fry stuff in that. But anyways, adding grapes to just about anything is quite yummy. Who doesn't remember a wonderful chicken salad with sliced grapes in it? And you can also add raisins to all sorts of things, baking with them, you know. And then, of course, the grape leaves are delicious. They're super delicious. They're high, it's a high effort. It's not something you could just whip up, but it's really worth it. And I highly recommend making your own. You can stuff them with all sorts of things and anything from rice to different types of meat. And I have, as usual, all sorts of lovely references and links in the program notes on different things, different delicious things you can do with grapes. And obviously, you can also cook with wine. Now, growing grapes, there is no lack of information on how to grow grapes. I mean, there is just so much information. I really enjoyed living in Napa. I lived in Napa for a little while, and I really enjoyed it because the whole culture is around grapes. And in fact, I think the community college there has an entire program on becoming a vintner. But they're wonderful plants to grow in your home garden. And basically, if you have any type of trellis, if you have a wall, but the trellis is neat because during the summer, you have this wonderful little natural air conditioned structure. And the grapes are super happy because they're getting direct sunlight. So I really enjoy living around grapes. It's wonderful. I've never personally grown them, but I've always watched other people do it. And again, I have links in the program notes on how you can do this. So, however you want to incorporate this incredible healing plant into your life by creating shade in your home garden, cooking with them, eating them, taking supplements based on them. I hope you come to appreciate what an incredible gift Vitis vinifera is to humanity. This is Stephanie Georgiev saying thank you so much for spending your valuable time with me. Make sure to check out the links in the program notes. And until next time, be well.